It's an interesting day in the world of Magic the Gathering. The Edge of Eternities official teaser list has just been released, giving us a tantalizing view into the next set. But if that wasn't enough for you, we actually have full-on spoiler action from the set as well.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a fun installment of Mega Magic News. Today, it's all about letting your imagination run wild and getting hyped for Edge of Eternity. So, we have Rosewater's teaser list, but I have an extra bonus for you. There is additional information that has been leaked about some of the points on this list. So we're going to be able to get more in depth with that. But on top of that, they actually just released a brand new spoiler card for the set that is dripping with flavor. So let's start out with the full-on card, and then we'll do the teaser action. So up on the screen, you're going to see Embrace Oblivion, which first of all is an epic name for a card. Secondly, this is just a powerhouse effect. 1 black for a sorcery that says, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature, destroy target creature or spacecraft. Now, it definitely does feel weird to see the word spacecraft on a Magic the Gathering card. I'm still wrapping my head around that because I am a high fantasy man who enjoys the swords and sorcery style stuff, and the science fiction is a divergence from what I'm accustomed to. But that being said, I will admit that this card does have incredible flavor. Right? The idea here, take a look at the artwork. This guy is standing there with what essentially looks like a black hole having formed in his body. The flavor text says, join me in the next eternity. And you'll notice that next eternity is capitalized, right? Thus making it into a full-on thing. That makes this guy feel somewhat along the lines of a zealot, right? He has some kind of belief that there is going to be a different eternity. Obviously that ties into the name of the set as well, but it really does evoke a lot from your imagination. This is a story spotlight card, so this obviously matters more overall in terms of what's going on with Edge of Eternities, and it seems like the cards and the actual set story are all together cohesive this time around. So the idea here is actually terrifying. Imagine being sucked into a black hole. There are tons of examples of people willing to sacrifice themselves to take out their enemies. Goblins running in with gigantic powder kegs, all that kind of stuff. But none of them have the inescapability of a black hole in space, right? Like if you have somebody coming to try and crash a plane down into you, maybe you can avoid the site they're going to smash into. Maybe you'll be flung clear of the explosion. Maybe some piece of the plane will miraculously shield you from the there's a number of things that could happen to save you. There is no being saved from this. The black hole is literally disintegrating this guy. Look at his arm. He's basically already being pulled in. His elbow is breaking apart. He's being pulled in to this black hole. It would pull in everything around you. You're in outer space, so guess what? As soon as it tears a hole in any of the outer walls, well, now the vacuum of space is going to get you. So there's a crazy inevitability to it. And the wild concept of, yo, I'm willing to sack myself to take you out. All I got to do is finger this hole and you're done, son, right? Like, this is a wild card. And guess what? This card is going to team up quite well with munitions. You might wonder what munitions are. Well, they're going to be part of the teasers that we talk about. But credit where credit is due. Wizards of the Coast has done a good job of evoking flavor with this story spotlight card, right? If you change this guy into a wizard in robes and he's just basically ensorceling some kind of void stone there in his hands, this would feel like a traditional Magic card. But either way, it doesn't have a lot of high-tech feeling stuff that pulls me out of it. I very much find this artwork to be incredibly evocative. Drink it in, my friends! Now, let's take a look at the teaser, the augmented teaser list, where some of the points will have extra information. So, we're starting out at the top of the teaser list. Some things you can expect. Repeatable activated ability that lets you draw 2 cards and create a 2/2 creature token, because why not have a bunch of advantage, right? I mean, hey, more creatures, more cards, you can't lose. That's the name of the game with Magic, right? Now, at least. More. And then the next item on the list, a white card that can return non-creature, non-land cards from the graveyard to the battlefield. Now, this is obviously humorous for anybody who paid attention to the last ban announcement, because they just got rid of that Abuelo's Awakening card, right? Which was a white card that would let you bring permanents back from the graveyard. Why was it a problem? Because of crazy omniscience combo insanity. But don't worry, this can't deal with omniscience because it specifically says a white card that can return non-creature, non-land. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Can this also bring omniscience back from the graveyard? So now the question becomes, did they ban Abuelo? Because like, we literally have another one that's coming and that's just going to take its place. Does it cost more? Is it harder to use? Right? We only know that it's a white card and will bring stuff back. So it could have more restrictions on it, but I doubt it. And I remember people asking specifically on the banned video announcement saying, wait. So if omniscience is causing the problem, why did they get rid of Abuelo's Awakening when they could just give omniscience the boot? Well, the answer to that, my friends, is that whenever you're confused about why Wizards is doing something, just say the word to yourself, money, and then go from there, and you will know exactly why. So when you go, money, it goes like this. Omniscience is in Foundations. Abuelo is in Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Lost Caverns of Ixalan barely has any time left in Standard. Foundations has anywhere from 4 to 8 years left in Standard and is a beginner product. So you buy a brand new product to get into this game. Oh man, look at this cool card I got. It costs a lot of mana, but once I get it, all my spells are free. And the noobs don't even realize, wait a minute. Well, by the time I hard cast this, I already have enough mana to cast all my other spells. And they're all giddy, woo. They don't even know that this is part of some dirty combo and people are doing crazy stuff in the Standard. So they're coming in for their first time to play in the store and it's like, you can't use that card. What? But this is the starter set. You can't use that card, it's banned. But this is the starter set and it's Standard legal. Not that card, it got banned. Why? It's a bad look. It creates a bad impression, and Wizards is going to be selling this product for almost a full decade more. Although, to be fair, we don't know how much of that means, like, we'll actually get Foundations. By that I mean, how much Foundations will we actually get? Will we get like one little chunk printed a year? Because they're trying to get more Final Fantasy stuff coming. We've got Tarkir stuff that they told us months ago would finally show up at the end of summer. So Wizards can't really keep up with their own productions. It does really make you wonder. Next thing on the list is another Arch Charm. So Archmage, Archlich, things like that, right? We have at least 6 different of these charms already in existence, and they tend to be 3 mana of a particular color. So if it's blue, it'll be 3 blue, green, 3 green. And they will have 3 different options for you to pick from. And they tend to be powerful options because Wizards does make some strong cards nowadays. So the Arch Charm, I really like the Archdruid's Charm. That's my favorite one so far. But to be fair, I do have a heavy leaning towards green. Next is a card that makes you choose odd or even. That could be super exciting. It could be kind of underwhelming. It could be like, we've had a lot of options like that. Choose or odd or even. Creatures that have a casting cost of that type can't block. Or cards with casting costs that are even can't be cast. That kind of thing, right? Then the next thing on the list, a new artifact token called Munitions. Now that's all it says on the teaser list, but this is where the bonus information comes in. So Munitions work like this. They're an artifact that does nothing when it's on the battlefield, don't have any sacrifice ability of their own. All they say on them is, when this artifact goes to the graveyard, deal 2 damage to any target. When I saw this originally on the teaser list, I thought to myself, munition targets will probably be like tap, pay 1, tap, sack, do 1 damage to any target or something like that. Although it's going to be giving burn to any color. Are they really going to want to go that route? I wasn't expecting a token that did 2 damage, but you had to do extra work to get that damage from. So the Embrace Oblivion that we just saw would work perfectly with this, where you get to go, boom, I smoke your creature. Also, guess what you take to your face? That's right, 2 damage. So munitions, really solid. It seems like as a concept, something that can easily be taken advantage of. There are so many things that care about tokens now, and there's a million ways to sacrifice them, right? So munition tokens, from what I saw, it said, the guy said he had only seen it so far on 1 rare card. So it's probably going to be something that'll show up on lower levels for limited. And I don't know how many powerful munition cards there'll be, but considering that Wizards does love their power creep, good chance that there'll be a lot. Then we've got a variant on Devour. Now, the original Devour works like this. Basically, if a creature has Devour 1, it goes like this. You sacrifice X number of creatures when they come out. They can eat any number of creatures when they come out. And then they get 1+1/+1 counter for each creature they've eaten, right? So if you sack 5 creatures to it, it gets 5+1/+1 counters. But Devour doesn't just come Devour 1. You could have Devour 4, for example. So every time you ate a creature, you're actually putting 4+1/+1 counters. There's some dragons out there that eat dudes and get massive amounts of counters, right? So that is how Devour works normally. But we're getting a variant on Devour, where in this case, it would be an ability to eat artifacts. And guess what we just talked about? Munitions. So you'll literally be able to eat munitions and have them fire off on people, which is hilarious. Yo, eat that box! Oh, fire me in, buddy! Okay, what's next? We've got card that lets you take control of an opponent. Ooh, is that a strong effect, right? Not something you see very often in Magic. We have an Emrakul that'll let you snake your opponent's turn. We've got Mindslaver to let you snake your opponent's turn. And bro, I remember when Mindslaver first came out. What an amazing concept, right? It makes perfect sense from the perspective of us being powerful wizards that I would want to develop Magic that would allow me to temporarily gain control of your mind and force you to do what I want. Now, we did have a tiny taste of that way back in the day in the form of Word of Power, which is a 2-black instant that lets you look at your opponent's hand and make them cast a spell. But that one has a lot more problems with it in that your opponent can just respond to it. Like literally, hey, I play this on you. Okay, in response, I cast my instance. And as a noob, when I started out, I didn't know you could do that. So somebody word of commanded me, and they made me Psionic Blast myself. Psi Blast is blue burn. 1 blue and 2, 4 damage to any target, 2 damage to you. This guy word of commands me, and I go, okay, and I show him my hand, he goes, Psi Blast yourself. So I took 4 damage from the main, and then 2 extra. It was brutal. So memorable. That was 30 years ago, and I still remember it. So, taking your opponent over, making them do stuff, super powerful effect. I don't know if this is just as simple as they're bringing Mindslaver back, or they're going to add like that on to some crazy... Well, it wouldn't be Planeswalker, right? Because Tezzeret doesn't have that ability, and Tezzeret's the only Planeswalker, as far as I understand, we're going to see in this set. So, it won't be on a Planeswalker. Next, we've got a legendary 5-color artifact. I mean, legendary 5-color artifact, doesn't that scream alternate win condition to you guys? Like, is that what's going on now? We got the alternate win con 5 casting cost Dragonstorm Tarkir spell, where it's like, put counters on dragons. When you have 5 different dragons, you want like 5 different dragons with counters on them, you win. Just straight up you win, right? And they did just bring Coalition Victory back into Commander, right? Although, to be fair, this set was designed before Wizards took over the Commander Rules Committee, so I don't think you can really factor that into it because it does take them a couple years to design sets. So never mind that. Maybe the fact that they're making stuff like this is why they said, who cares about Coalition Victory? We've got much crazier win cons coming down the pike, right? So to me, a legendary 5-color artifact screams win the game straight up level, right? Then we've got a poison card. This one we actually saw in its entirety. If you go over and check out the leak video that I did, it's 2 videos before this one. The last one was a ban announcement. Before that was the leak. So off the top of my head, the poison creature is like, he's like a 3 casting cost, 2/3, and non-token artifact creatures you control, when they hit your opponent, give them 2 poison counters. 10 poison counters takes them out. So it's not effect, it's just regular poison. Next, after that, We've got a card that grants abilities to slivers. So there won't be slivers in the set. There's just going to be this one card that references slivers. And that's all it says here is a card that grants abilities to slivers. But that's another one that I have the bonus stuff for. Buckle up. This costs 6. It's an artifact that costs 6. It has affinity for slivers, so it costs 1 less for every sliver you have out. It gives your slivers double strike and trample. And at the end of the turn, it makes 2 slivers. Double strike, trample, cranks out 2 slivers, right? And affinity for slivers. So it's cheaper based on how many slivers you have out. That is insane. It's bonkers. It's bonkers, honestly. Just think about it. You know it must have gone in the design meeting. Okay, how do we get sliver players hyped for this? Just make this dumb artifact that's basically free to put out and then make them double strike. And someone else like, slap trample on it. And then the guy in the back's like, but make a couple slivers too, why not? And it's just like, okay, boys, we got to have something big enough to get the sliver players' attention. And that'll do it. That'll do it. Then we've got rules text. So these are lines of text that'll show up on cards. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. That makes me think of the old recycle spell. It's like a 6 casting cost enchantment, and basically you don't get to draw normally. Your hand size is 2, but anytime you play a land or cast a spell, you draw a card. So you just keep going bam, 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 bam. You can go through your whole deck. So this could be some kind of variant of recycle. Then we've got, if it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. So I'm guessing this is put +1/+1 counters on an artifact. And if it's not an artifact creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. Pretty straightforward. Then we've got, you may play lands from your graveyard. I think we actually saw that on a spoiler card, but I can't remember specifically what, right? Then we've got, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of enchanted permanent. So obviously this is a condition you have to meet. It might be like, oh, if you have X number of creatures, instead you can do it this way. If you have this much life, if this many counters on it. It could be a station ability where it could be like, oh, this makes one thing. This generates a copy of a guy. But if it's stationed to this level, create that many copies instead. And with station cards, there can actually be multiple levels. So you could have a spacecraft that comes out, level it up till, I'm just going to make numbers up. You get it to station level 4, and it goes, make a copy of a permanent, right? Or I guess it's an enchantment, so I don't think you can have enchanted stations. But I don't know. Let's pretend like that. So 4 counters, it makes 1 copy. And then once you got it up to 12 counters, then it actually makes... it makes that many tokens. No, never mind. You know what? The way that I'm wording, forget it. What I said about stations is complete nonsense. Just disregard that. Okay? Let's move on to the next one, because I've muddled that one up. And I actually have more information for the next item. Artifacts cards and red cards in your hand have. That's where it cuts off in the teasers. But what they have is warp, equal to their mana cost. So, basically, this is a red legendary Kevu character. All right, so it's a red legendary Kevu creature that basically gives all of your artifact and red cards warp cost, and warp was the ability we saw in the previous spoiler video where you can cast a card for its warp cost. It comes into play. It doesn't have haste. It gets exiled at the end of turn, and then you can cast it from exile for its normal cost. So this will give all of your red and artifacts, right, is gonna have warp. That's the deal. I guess it might just be permanence, right? I'm not 100% sure on that. The teaser information that's provided, like by this extra source, isn't 100% verified. So take that with a grain of salt, right? Next is put target creature from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking, which is a pretty nice ability. Pick one of your opponent's guys from the graveyard, smack them with it. That's got a great feel. So that's another one that there's additional information for. That's supposed to be part of a black enchantment that costs 4. You put it on a creature. When that creature attacks, then you pick a creature from the graveyard, put it into play, tapped and attacking. All right? And then there is one more item that I have from the extra information that's not really on the teaser list as far as I understand, and that is the ability Void. And Void is basically fixed revolt. So how Void works is it triggers when a non-land permanent goes to the graveyard. Remember, when they did the revolt ability and people were able to use fetch lands to trigger it a bunch, they fixed it with Void. Okay? So, next item on the list, the first spell each player casts during each of their turns can be cast without paying its mana cost. Broken. Wizards loves free spells. Next is X is the number of differently named lands you control. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types. Anybody playing with that Yigra from Bloomborough is going to love that, bro. Spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. That's gross. That, whatever that on is going to be, absolutely gross. There is, oh, you know what? Never mind. I do have a little bit more in terms of the spoiler information. Let's quickly go through the creature type lines that they have on the teaser list. So there's Jellyfish Scientist, Insect Artificer, Plant Scorpion, Drix Assassin, Elemental Urgoyf, Mite, Robot Pangolin, Kevu Scout, Lobster Citizen, and Eldrazi. And we spoiled that Eldrazi already, right? So, oh wait, some names from the set as well. Close Encounter, Command Bridge, Decode Transmissions, Emergency Eject, Invasive Maneuvers, Lost in Space, Nebula Dragon, Space-Time Anomaly, Systems Override, and Tractor Beam. So, to finish off, I got a couple of lands to tell you about. The blue land is a station land. When it has 12 counters, it taps for a blue mana equal to the number of artifacts you have. So basically just like Tolarian Academy. And then the black land also needs 12 counters on it to be stationed. 1 black and 1, tap it, sack a creature to draw cards equal to that creature's power. So that wraps up all of the insanity. Let me know your thoughts on what some of this stuff could be down in the comments below. A big thank you to my patrons and channel members for directly supporting me. I very much appreciate it. You guys rule. And I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.